Major developments in the United States as supporters of U.S. President Donald Trump stormed Capitol Hill, the meeting place for the U.S. Congress. The protesters invaded Capitol Hill while Congress was in session to count and certify the Electoral College votes for President and Vice President. Khrystal Wilson has more in this report.
Insurrection in Washington. This as pro-Trump protesters stormed U.S. Capitol building amid a debate to certify votes for the next president and vice president of the United States. Shortly after 1 p.m. on Wednesday, international media was abuzz, first with reports that Donald Trump supporters were gathered outside U.S. Capitol. Moments later, reports surfaced that protesters pushed through barriers set up along the perimeter of the U.S. Capitol building. International media reports suggested the situation had escalated quickly as protesters tussled with officers clad in full riot gear, some referring to the officers as traitors for doing their jobs. Images of protesters seen pushing against metal fences and police using fences to push protesters back went viral on social media, while other officers reached over the top to club people trying to cross their lines. Tear gas was deployed, but international media reports said it was not clear whether it was from protesters or police. Capitol Hill police were called out and even requested reinforcements as violence among protesters intensified. As the situation developed, Capitol Hill police locked down the building. A spokesperson for the Department of Homeland Security said members of the U.S. Secret Service and the Federal Protective Service also provided assistance. Sometime later, as tension increased, the U.S. president took to Twitter to reach out to his supporters, asking for everyone to remain peaceful and to respect the law. Trump supporters were seen chanting and waving American flags. Other demonstrators broke into the Senate chamber and climbed onto the side of the walls as police drew their weapons. Up to newstime, Capitol Police reported they detained some protesters as they stormed the building. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser via Twitter announced the district from 6 p.m. will be under curfew until 6 a.m. on Thursday. The Electoral College certification vote has since been paused. International media reported a woman was shot in the chest during the protest. U.S. President-elect Joe Biden, in a televised address, described Wednesday's riots as a dark moment for the United States. Khrystal Wilson, TTT News.
And one Trinidad and Tobago national living in Washington, D.C., broadcaster Von Martin says this is a tragedy and it is shocking. He says this is not American democracy.
It's something that people normally would see in other parts of the world, in Ukraine or in China or somewhere else. But to see it happening here in the United States, it's a bit uncomfortable. It's shocking, like we can say, agree. Definitely so.
But Mr. Martin says despite the riot, he foresees Joe Biden assuming his position as President of the United States.
And women are in a safe place within the capital area, so they can't be affected by what's going on outside. And so they will continue with their vote and give credence to the election, having Biden become the President of the United States.
Meanwhile, Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs Dr. Amory Brown said it's sad and disturbing to witness these scenes of chaos and near insurrection in Washington, D.C. Minister Brown told TTT News he's been in touch with Trinidad and Tobago's embassy staff in that city and has encouraged the ambassador and the entire team to stay safe and off the streets. He said the Prime Minister has been monitoring the situation very closely and is being kept abreast of all relevant developments. Minister Brown added the absolute breakdown in law and order in the capital city of the United States of America and the disgraceful attacks on the transition of power following their presidential election are cause for deep concern and sobriety. He said he hopes and is praying good order would soon prevail and that the American people would emerge from this crisis as a more peaceful, lawful, tolerant, and democratic society.